My dad had one of his many mottos. This one in particular stood out at the time. He always said, "The show must go on." We the People is a song about the power of the people. You know, register to vote. Your vote counts. Well, this is the most important election in the history of our country, and it's really important for everybody to get out and vote. As a matter of fact, I kind of look at it like, if you're of age to vote and you don't go and vote, then in a way, you really don't have any right to complain, no matter how things turn out. Your vote counts. Whether your candidate wins or not, your vote counts. And that's what makes this country great. I go through some different evolutions with my hair just because I'm an actor. When Hannah Montana was coming up, I was coming off of doing my first series, Doc, where I played a doctor. And you know, I was just looking at different dads that were out there and on different television shows, and I don't know, I thought that this dad's got to look, you know, the part and look a little different, and it just kind of happened to be what I was doing at the time. Just kind of, I was staying out on the farm a lot, writing a lot of music and rock and rolling, I guess, a bit, you know, and I thought, so this dad needs to be a rock and roll dad, and I just kind of showed up looking like what I did, and that became Robbie Ray, which, you know, wasn't a big stretch from Billy Ray, with a lot of mullet jokes. We had, even I wrote a song, you know, for the show, one of the episodes called "I Want My Mullet Back," and Miley and Jason Earls actually end up performing the song with me in the episode. And you know, there's something odd, just a little trivia. On the day that we filmed, me and Miley and Jason Earls singing "I Want My Mullet Back," 15, 20 minutes before that, I found out that my father had passed away from mesothelioma. Miley called my dad Pappy, and she has the Ray Cyrus Foundation that she works through and does a lot of things around the world through the Ray Cyrus Foundation. You may hear her talk about her pappy. So that was her grandfather. And we sat for a moment, and you know, Disney had came and said, you know, it's Friday evening, we'll just break, and you guys go take care of what you got to do, and we'll just reconvene when you guys get it together. And Miley looked at me and said, "What do you think, Dad? What would Pappy want us to do?" And my dad had one of his many mottos. This one in particular stood out at the time. He always said, "The show must go on." And I said, you know what, I bet Pappy would be really sad if we didn't get up and sing this song right now. Because he really, he had heard "I Want My Mullet Back" and thought it was a real fun song. And it was kind of odd that it was that moment that we found out that he had passed away. And she said, let's get up and sing it for him. And so we did that scene where we sing "I Want My Mullet Back" on stage. And then we finished, and we went home and buried my father. Since 1989, when I wrote a song called "Some Gave All," I've done a lot of concerts and been involved with our troops across the United States and around the world. Certainly being in the middle of, you know, both combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, those are times and moments that I'll never forget. Being a part of this homecoming show for TLC and seeing our troops come home, seeing the tears of joy in their families' eyes. Those are moments I'll never forget. But yet there's the realism of war and the reality of war. There are two sides. There are two different types of homecomings. And I have seen them both, and quite a bit over the last year. Again, in doing the show Homecoming, and seeing, you know, those families reunite, that was a beautiful moment. One of the most important pieces of advice that I ever got was from my dad. Early on, he had told me a quote that kind of stayed in my mind, and it is, persistence is to the quality of the character of man what carbon is to steel. Thomas Edison said the most important ingredient for success is failure, Every time you fail, you eliminate one way that won't work, therefore being one way closer to the one way that will. I got real good at failing. I'm still good at it. And you know, but every time you fail, you do eliminate one way that won't work. I've never done the achy breaky dance, though I did invent one of the moves, which invent is probably a very loose term. Melanie Greenwood, you know, kind of devised the steps of the achy breaky. And she said, well, what do you do when you sing the song? And I said, well, I'm playing guitar and I don't dance, but I do move my hips from side to side every now and then, and I stood up and did it, and she said, that's it, that's the hook of the dance, and it became the achy breaky. So I have a little signature in there, but to this day I couldn't stand up and do the dance. You know what inspires me is life. That's what I write about, that's what I sing about. I think that's you know, really to me what the definition of an artist is, one who sings and writes what they live about, and it's that common denominator that connects with the audience. And I write about what I'm living.